welcome friends. My name is Avinash Gorakshekar and I welcome all of you to another interesting episode of Konexio HighFlyers. Friends, in this program, as everyone is aware, we introduce to you emerging companies from emerging sectors and talk to the promoters of such companies. And we get to know about their business model, their growth journey, their future plans. And in this process, we help the investors understand these companies in a much better way. And today, friends, we've got another interesting company which is going to hit the capital market very soon. The company's name is AFCOM Holdings Limited. And we have the privilege of having the top management team, Mr. Captain Deepak Parasuraman, who's the chairman and managing director of the company. And we also have Mr. Kannan Ramakrishnan, who's the whole-time director of the company. So welcome, gentlemen, to the show. In fact, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time with us today. I'm pretty sure that in this small interaction, we'll be able to understand your company's operations in a much better manner.
Thank you very much for having us on your show.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, first question, Captain Deepak, is to you. Is that if you could explain to us in a very elementary way that what is the business model of our company, and within air logistics, what is the kind of positioning our company enjoys? And in brief, if you could share with us, the business journey of this company. How did you get into this business? How did this business start? If you could just share some of your, views in a very small way, and begin.
Sure. So, firstly, we are in the business of air cargo. That we are a cargo airline. Our objective is to take cargo from one airport to the other. So, in the entire supply chain logistics business, we connect the chain from airport to airport. So that in a very elementary thing is what we do. We are a cargo airline who transport cargo by air from one airport to the other.
Correct.
As a company, we have focused on being an international cargo airline. So predominantly, rather, all of our flights are going to be international flights. Our primary focus is to east of India. So
Okay.
our destinations are going to be the ASEAN countries initially. So
Okay.
that is in a nutshell, what our business model in a
Okay.
very, what should I say, very concise manner is.
Yeah.
So come to the journey of this, we started doing the research of the space and the business of air cargo way back in 2015 and 16. We found that the South Asian markets are going to become the production center. The production globally is moving towards the South Asian markets. The ASEAN regions are growing very strongly. Strong trade lanes are being established between these countries in the region, in the ASEAN region. The countries are becoming interdependent. To say the raw material goes from one country, semi-finished goods in another country, finished goods in another country, and the markets are somewhere else.
Yeah.
So with this, we decided to start an airline. India being so perfectly positioned in the region, and that too being in south of India, it was so perfectly positioned. We went ahead to go ahead and work towards setting up this company. But come COVID and post-COVID, the reality is that these markets have grown much faster as production centers than what we estimated. And further, the newer manufacturers, even from China, has started setting up production centers in this region. So, in a nutshell, if you look from Chennai, we have got about 6 markets in the South Asian region, which is within a 5-hour flying range. As I said, they are interdependent, so there is a two-way movement of cargo.
Yeah.
With that, what comes out is that the entire business model is these are short range within 5 hours of flying time, short capacity. These are narrow body jet aircraft. We use the Boeing 737-800. We call it the narrow aisle or the narrow body. So the entire business plan is short capacity, short range, and high frequency. So we are able to also mitigate the risk of one flight with a much larger capacity.
Exactly.
And within the region, having 5 or 6 markets, we are able to also de-risk our markets. So this
Yep.
was a plan with which we have gone ahead.
Okay.
The second aspect is that through our ports here, that is Singapore and Thailand, we will also be able to connect cargo coming from further east, like Japan and Korea, into India, has also using these as an hub further distribute cargo outbound through our
Okay.
partnering airlines in the region.
Okay. Got
That
it.
is the business plan in a nutshell. So it's been a long journey. Since 2017, we got our initial NOCs. We did have a little bit of slowdown with regard to the COVID. We restarted our licenses, aircrafts, everything are in place. Through the process of quasi charter, we have done operations in this region so far in a very limited manner due to what should I say, scarcity of availability of aircraft and capacity. Now our
Okay.
own released aircrafts have come, and we are going full fledged in this.
So I think very nicely articulated by you, Captain Deepak. Second question is, if you could tell us, now within your business model, for air cargo, which you mentioned to me now, what are the different types of services which you offer to clients? Like, if you could give us two, three examples, you might be looking at a lot of manufacturing companies, which require cargo movement from one place to another. So if you could tell us what are the products which the company focuses on, and specifically, which are the kind of products which you all offer as a package to customers. If you could, share your thoughts.
Okay, firstly, we have to understand that we are in a business which is B2B. Our primary customers are the freight forwarders.
Okay.
So, as we said that we carry raw materials, we carry industrial goods, we carry electronics. There's a wide gamut of things. But as far as the product is concerned, the product we are offering to our client is that yes, we can give you a guaranteed delivery, a guaranteed space to these following destinations. That, in a simple line, is a product. But if we go
Correct.
and look into it, our very tagline is beyond flying cargo. Now, let us look who our customers are. Customers are our freight forwarders. What is the inventory does a freight forwarder have to sell? That is a cargo space. Only then he can tell his customers that he can send his cargo to so and so destination at such a price. So
Correct.
we are able to offer that to the forwarders. That, sir, we have got space. We are willing to give you guaranteed space. We are willing to pre-agree a price with you for certain tonnage for a certain period of time. So it gives him a tremendous strength when he goes into the market to pick up the business.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is what we say beyond flying cargo. I'll give you some examples. For example, for one of the manufacturers, we bring in certain dangerous goods, that's lithium ion batteries. So the production facility in India which uses this had a 5-day inventory for these lithium ion batteries. With our operations, those 5 days inventory got reduced to 2 days. Substantial
Okay.
amount of savings as far as the inventory costs are concerned. The
Exactly.
same way, the finished goods which was going back to Singapore and Thailand, the stockist there could also reduce in his inventory from 5 days to 2 days.
Okay.
We are another company which makes sensor equipment which goes into medical equipments. Now, see, we have this concept that when a cargo is packaged and sent, we go by the weight to volume. If the weight is greater than the volume, is charged on the weight, or the volume is bigger than the weight, is charged on a volume basis. So
Correct.
we did realize that their packaging was too large. So we went back to the customer and said, sir, we understand the contours of the aircraft better. So would you help us in giving you a little bit of ideas about the packaging? Our boys went in for the next shipment. They worked in their factory. They helped them repackage and contour the packaging, and they saved almost 2 tons per shipment on freight cost.
Okay.
So that's how we. There's another Japanese company which sends chemicals. We
Yeah.
also help them on 3 factors: on their packaging, on their ground supply chain logistics, which could cut off the gate cut off time, and they needed the minimum time to bring the aircraft to the product from the factory to make it airborne. So that,
Okay.
in essence, is what we do.
Okay. I think nicely put out again, Captain Deepak. Well understood, how your business and how your company works. Now, tell me one thing, Captain Deepak, how many aircrafts do we have? And a little specific on this question is, are these aircrafts on a wet lease or a dry lease? If you could, please specify.
So we have got 2 aircraft, both Boeing 737-800s, and both are on dry lease.
Okay. And basically, I also wanted to know, what is the cost arbitrage normally between a dry lease and a wet lease? If you could, give us an example or maybe give us a small idea about the arbitration, between wet and dry lease.
You see, there is a cost arbitrage, but we have to look at the bigger thing when it comes to the quasi charter and dry lease. In the place of a dry lease, the aircraft is ours. We are paying only the rent for the aircraft.
Right.
Everything else from crew, maintenance, insurance, fuel, everything is on us. So the
Correct.
aircraft is available with us 24/7 throughout the lease period. So
Correct.
what happens here is that we are able to do as many schedules as we want, as many sectors as we want. There is no limitation. In a charter or a quasi charter, what happens is whoever is giving us the aircraft, we are only getting that small portion where he is able to spare the capacity. So the basic limitation there is that fine, if he is able to offer me only 2 flights a week, that's all we get. But here
Correct.
we have planned a minimum 6 flights per aircraft per week. And
Okay.
this is
Okay.
only the minimum, which is about 8 to 9 hours of flying. These aircrafts
Okay.
are capable of flying 18 to 19 hours per day,
Okay.
provided you have the requisite set of crew. We've got 6 sets of crew per aircraft. So,
Correct.
so all our projections, of course, are 6 flights per aircraft per week. However, we have got substantial charter inquiries. We are also working with certain large operators to operate a couple of flights every week exclusively for them. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
the entire gamut changes when it's your
Okay.
dry lease. It's your aircraft at your disposal and at your operating basis.
Well, understood. I think very nicely put out. Now, Captain Deepak, tell me one more thing. What are the entry barriers to get a dry lease aircraft? Is it very difficult for you to get this license?
Yet there are 2 or 3 components. One is yes, as far as the licenses are concerned, the regulatory requirements are very strict, safety standards are very strict. So one of the barriers in this business is the licensing process.
Okay.
It's it's not that it's red tapeism. It is that there's a lot of work to be done on operations, on engineering, on maintenance. The safety standard requirements are very high. So these are extensive, time consuming, and cost based activity. That's point number one. Now, coming to the second thing is getting the right type of aircraft. For example, the 737-800s. To get the right type of aircraft at the right price point is a big challenge. The third challenge which we are currently facing, of course, it kind of became okay in the middle and still we are facing a little problem, is that we are still considered not a very high risk country to give aircraft on lease. Unfortunately, because of whatever happened with some carriers earlier, in the leasing market, we are still declared as a very high risk country to lease aircraft. So that is a very big challenge we are facing today in the market.
Okay. No, understood. I think, Captain Deepak, now just one small related question to this. If you could tell me that for FY24, that is for the current year, is the entire business driven by the dry lease aircrafts? So entirely all our aircrafts are owned by us in the sense that we just pay the lease. I mean, I just wanted to get this clarity.
You're right, sir. FY24-25, the aircraft should be operated purely on dry lease.
Okay, so currently there is a mix, you mean, of wet lease and dry lease as of now? I mean, you said FY25. So FY24, was it a mix
Yeah,
of
the
wet and
current financial year is only dry leased aircraft. We have been
okay,
operating the quasi charter aircraft,
okay,
which is being replaced with the dry lease aircraft.
okay, okay, understood. Okay. So now, Mr. Kannan, this question is for you. If you could tell me, what is the size of the domestic market opportunity for our company in terms of the kind of signals you are getting from the ground? If you could tell us, in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, how big is the opportunity for our company to grow? And, what are the kind of strategies we are adopting to ensure that we capitalize on this growth going forward?
Yeah. See, the cargo has been, is on the rise, and it's been consistently, growing over the last so many years. And in fact, the Boeing has projected, the cargo volume to grow at a CAGR of 4.1%, for the next 20 years. And in this, the market where we are planning to address, ASEAN region, it is expected to grow at a CAGR of 6%, year on year. So that's a kind of consistent thing. And to add it with the facts that the a lot of the manufacturing activities are happening in this region, we are very optimistic that the growth rate is going to be significantly higher for the next following years. And we are positioned ourselves as a pure international cargo airline, and our focus is moving the cargo between India and the the ASEAN region. And we will remain as an international cargo airline, and we and the growth potential in this region, as I mentioned, is very huge. And it is what do you call, I mean, it is expected at a 6% CAGR over the next so many years, which means that enough of the volume of cargo is there for us to cater.
Okay. Okay. Understood. I think, Mr. Kannan, thank you very much. Captain Deepak, one more question now for you. In each of the service segments which we operate, if you could tell me, how is the pricing decided, depending upon the volume, the weight of the cargo, or depending upon the frequency, or do you have some fixed price kind of contracts, for large, customers? If you could throw some light on this aspect, please.
No, you're absolutely right. So the aspect is of twofold. One is where we have pre-agreed contracts with the forwarders, where they take X amount of guaranteed space in our aircraft for a given price for a given period of time. And as far as the spot pricing is concerned, it is always based on the volume. That is, weight or volume, it goes on the ratio depending on the product. So we have rates up to 100 kgs, above 100 kgs, 1 ton and above. That's how the rates are published. These are spot rates. But most of our cargo goes on pre-agreed contracts with the forwarders. There are a lot of project cargo we get. For project cargoes, also it's all pre-agreed rate for an entire shipment for a period of time. And then, of course, whatever we get the cargo on urgent cargo, which comes as a last-minute booking, goes on spot rates.
Okay, no, understood. Captain Deepak, just one small related question. When you agree on pre-agreed kind of contract rates, assuming crude oil prices go up or some cost overheads go up, I mean, are you safely covered for this increase? I mean, how do you manage this? Because crude is obviously volatile. Now we have been seeing crude at almost $90 a barrel.
That's
clearly,
right.
how do you handle this aspect?
You see, in this industry, the fuel price increase is directly passed on to the customer. And the benefit of a drop in the fuel price is also passed on to the customer. There is a fuel surcharge, which is charged based on a fuel price index. For every flight, there is a fuel surcharge which is added to the freight charges. So the fuel surcharge keeps changing based on the fluctuations of the fuel price, and this is a standard practice of airlines across the world, both passenger and cargo. So it's a direct pass on to the end customer.
Okay, no, understood. I think, again, very nicely explained. Captain Deepak, now tell me one thing in terms of the competitive intensity in our kind of business. Is the competition very fierce, or are there only some selected players, which do similar business, like what our company does? And second related question to this is, I would like to ask is that, in what way are we different from our competitors? How do we do things better for our customers? As you rightly pointed out earlier, that you save 2 to 3 days of inventory, finished goods for the customers. Obviously, that resulted in a lot of savings. But could you highlight, say, 2 to 3 qualitative points which could tell us that you do the job much better than the other players operating in the industry? If you could share your thoughts on both these points.
Okay. Now, coming to the competitive space, firstly, there are large cargo operators globally, because cargo has been growing very rapidly for the last 40 years. Unlike the passenger segment, this has been growing. We haven't seen huge spikes other than the COVID period, but 4 to 5% has been the consistent growth of cargo over the last 50 years. So many airlines which started many years ago have become large players. You have Cargo Lux, Atlas Cargo, Air Atlanta, Icelandic, Evergreen International, the major players around the world who are flying huge amounts of cargo across the globe. Then we have even certain other people like the FedEx, DHL, UPS of the world who operate. The third segment, which is for large cargo operations, is also large airlines like your Singapore Airlines, Emirates, Etihad, US Airways. All of them have a cargo airline division which is fairly large. Now, having said that, coming to the entire competitive scene in our market, at the moment, our region has practically very little competition or no competition. And the reason for this is that in this region, these are short sectors, short range, and it operates within the region. So there is nobody at the moment operating in this region. Yeah, there are big players. Like, for example, if you want to send cargo urgently from, say, here to Singapore, mostly it goes via Cathay. See, we have to understand that there are passenger airlines, they have belly capacity to carry the cargo. But we carry hazardous materials like batteries. We carry out-dimensioned cargoes, what we call the ODCs, which cannot enter the belly door size. It's small for the cargo to enter. It has to go on a large cargo door main deck. Then many of these project cargoes which go, they don't like to break the cargo. Like a passenger airline says, okay, I have half a ton to take, but a project cargo does at least 3 to 4 tons movement at a go. So these are the things. And also with the problem with the belly capacity in a passenger airline is that you don't know until the last minute whether you are getting space and what is the quantum of space you are getting, because it's subject to after the passenger and the baggage they are carrying. So these all become the issue. So currently, yes, we are in a very nice position of very low competition, but we are not being, what should I say, callous about it. The fact is that when we operate 2 years, 3 years down the line, I'm sure there'll be many more people who will come. But there are two things, sir. Even when we operate with 5 aircraft to our capacity, which we have planned as of today, and operate to the full capacity, we will be not taking more than 4 to 5% of the market share.
Okay.
The size of the pie is very large. There's a room for more players.
Okay.
Coming to what we bring to the table for our customers, that it is not that we have got an aircraft saying that, okay, we are going Chennai, Singapore. Is there anybody having cargo to send to Singapore? That's not the space we are in. We work along with our GSSA, with our forwarders, to build tailor-made solutions for our customers. We have tied up with TT Trucking, who have got a global, we've got a all India bonded trucking rights. So we consolidate cargo, custom cleared from various cities. So in your own home city, your cargo is custom cleared, packed, and it arrives at the airport. The cargo is not opened at all, but directly goes into the aircraft post security. The same way we do redeliveries. We created a new product in the aerospace region where we have tied up that the part is taken from the hangar of the airport, custom cleared, flown in all the way into Singapore, overall brought back and delivered back into the hangar of whichever city, custom cleared there and fitted on the aircraft.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of, what should I say, we help our customers in packaging their products so their volumetric load is low. We have been able to create supply chain logistics, consulting on ground so that they have minimum time from the factory to the flight, and they don't need to maintain an inventory of produced goods in their factory. So like this, we are coming, and I'm sure we have got a very small team, cherry-picked, very, what should I say, I'm very proud of the little small team we have, highly experienced, huge experience in this industry. So we have been able to go back to the forwarders, sit with the customers, and the products designed by us are basically something the forwarders and the customers have helped us design to meet their current needs.
I think very nicely put out, Captain Deepak. I think very nice to know that the kind of innovation you have done, which has actually helped our company to grow quite well. So that's definitely a good positive. Mr. Kannan, now next question to you on the financials. I think I was just seeing the.
And second thing is, the previous year the operations was not for the full year. The FY 22-23, it was only a 6 months operation, and FY 23 was full year. And in FY 24, we have increased the schedule. That is the reason for the top line growth. Yeah.
Okay. Understood. I think so that all contributed to the increased
Yeah.
top line and profitability. Captain Deepak, can you please share with us, what is the current order book? I believe that, obviously you work in an industry where, obviously you are very closely connected to customers. So if you could share with us any reported, data point which you can share with us, what is the broad order book as of now?
So, I may not be able to share the order book because even the forwarders who are giving cargo, it's tied up with their customers of the project cargo. But one thing which I can definitely share with our GSSAs, they have underwritten minimum 50% load factor for each flight.
Oh,
So that
right.
minimum 50% load factor is a guaranteed cargo for us.
That's really nice to hear, Captain Deepak. I think which clearly indicates the kind of stickiness in your business, which is very much essential. Mr. Kannan, now on the working capital side, if you could tell us, what is the broad working capital cycle in our industry?
So the working capital cycle here, as per the IATA norms, is 45 days. From the date of the invoice, it is from the date of service. It is 30 to 45 days is the working capital cycle, and the invoices are generated, bi-monthly, and the invoice is generated and is settled, after 30 to 35 days, from the date of invoice. So totally,
So
the cycle
broadly
is around
about
45 days.
40 to 45 days is broadly the working capital cycle.
Working
That's what
capital
you're trying.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, Mr. Kannan, now, I take this point from you, but, I was seeing the financials for the last 3 years. I was seeing that despite having such a good profitability track record, a very good top line record, our operating cash flows are negative. Now, what is the reason for this? I mean, when can this change into positive operating cash flows?
Yeah, the reason is that the capex incurred on account of this dry lease aircraft is all is still not moved to the balance sheet. Is still not capitalized. The moment it is done, the positive cash flow, operating cash flow, whatever the positive cash flow we generate, that will be reflecting in the operating cash flow as well. And the capex has to be taken to the balance sheet and amortized with the depreciation, and still it is not done, and that's the reason it is appearing as a negative cash flow.
So hopefully, Mr. Kannan, without again giving any number, can we expect that at least in FY25, that is next year, can we expect the operating cash flows to become positive?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. That is good to know. Captain Deepak, one small question which is very important for this interview now is that the company is going public very soon. So broadly, if you could tell us, what is the objective of raising the fund? So that's good to know. Last question, Captain Deepak, for this interview today. You have managed this business in a very profitable way, in a very nice way. What are the key challenges in this business? And secondly, what are the key risks which are attached to this business? If you could highlight one or two risks, because if you look at COVID was an abnormal risk which affected everybody. But in our
Correct.
business, what is the key risk which you need to manage so that you can remain profitable and operate smoothly?
See, in this year, of course, those risks, as you said, which are external risk factors, are of course the pandemic, geopolitical issue is a larger risk because, for example, as you see across the Red Sea region, shipping has become expensive, curtailed capacity not available. So geopolitical reasons, whatever as they may be, as we saw pressure on the exports happening from China into China. So geopolitical is one of the largest risks we face. But having
Okay.
6 countries across South Asian region, that risk is fairly mitigated. The other
Okay.
risk factor which is there in this is skilled manpower. If you're talking about experienced commanders, experienced first officers, engineers, this is a big, what should I say, scarcity which is being faced by the entire industry, especially India, where
Okay.
probably one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. We are
Okay.
inducting huge number of planes. So skilled manpower as trained captains, first officers, experienced engineers is a challenge, and the challenge is going to be there for some time.
Captain Deepak, just one small related question, from the financial point of view. If one were to look at and analyze our company, because our business is little different from other companies, can I take the cargo handled by us on an annual basis, and what is the profit per ton, or maybe what is the amount of profit you make per ton? Because typically we look at manufacturing companies, from the revenue, from the EBITDA, and from the earnings point of view. But your business is largely cargo driven. The more cargo you transport and the more trips you make, I mean, in what way can we actually evaluate your company based on some simple parameters, if one were to look at it from an investment point of view?
So we go by two or three standards. One is our cargo load factor. What is the percentage of cargo we are carrying? At what cargo load factor do we break even? So that's one factor we look at. The other cost component in our business is cost per ton mile. What does it cost me to carry 1 ton of cargo for 1 mile? Of course, to say that what is the percentage of profit per ton carried is very difficult to give as an average, because we are flying across sectors. We are also connecting onward and return sectors. But in a very simple back of the envelope calculation, we estimate between 18 to 22 crores of turnover per aircraft per month on a very straight line schedule of 6 flights a week per aircraft. So with that, that's a range we operate between 18 to 22 crores per aircraft per month.
Okay. So that covers everything. So this is basically a very simple way to evaluate our business. Fine.
Correct, sir.
So I think Captain Deepak and Mr. Kannan, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. I think we could understand your company's operations in a much better way. And please accept my best wishes to you, your entire management team, and best wishes for your forthcoming public issue also. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Thank you.